biggest supermarket brings you the biggest deals of the year. It's Black Friday at ShopRite for 4 days only. Save up to 50% on Ultramel custard for a low 20 emalangeni. Sunny Thai rice for only 159 emalangeni. 2 bottles of Coca-Cola Original Taste No Sugar for just 27 emalangeni. And Kellogg's Cornflakes for 49 emalangeni. Don't miss 4 days of Black Friday only at ShopRite.
It's our biggest sale yet. Black Tag November is here, where every day is Black Friday. When you shop the Skyway 55-inch UHD Google TV for an unbelievable 7,499, save 3,249. Or this Samsung Galaxy A04e smartphone for 1,999, save 400. Or this Hisense air fryer for as low as 1,299, save 700. Price is valid until 30 November 2023. T's and C's apply. Hi-Fi Corp, your #1 deal destination.
Good evening, dear viewers, and welcome to the News Bulletin at 8, brought to you by our #1 news provider, Eswatini TV. I am Nondumiso Vilagade alongside Izama Zimanza. Let's take a look at our news-making headlines. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says government has formulated and will immediately implement a short to medium-term plan. The Deputy Prime Minister Tosile Dladla says government is addressing all health challenges in the kingdom. The Minister for ICT, Savannah Mazia, has urged all ICT-based companies in the kingdom to collaborate than competing against each other in order to improve service delivery. The news. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says government has formulated and will immediately implement a short to medium-term plan. The Premier says the grand plan will seek to modernize the country based on the Dinkhundla system of government. Dlamini was speaking in Cabinet when delivering his maiden speech as the Honourable Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Eswatini, where he was outlining government's strategic plan for the next 5 years.
The weight of the responsibility that has been entrusted upon me as the new Prime Minister and the new Cabinet Ministers is enormous, and it carries the hopes and aspirations of all Emaswati, as submitted during the recent historic Sibaya. The multiple crises of poverty, unemployment, gender-based violence, corruption, and health services provision, among other issues that the Kingdom of Eswatini is confronted with, are surmountable, but require all Emaswati to rethink their identity, maintain their cohesion, and to work hard to steer our development aspirations in the right direction. His Majesty's government and the new administration will rigorously pursue the vision of Eswatini attaining the first world status and being identified as a developed country. The government will focus on a few priorities through a sustainable and integrated approach. It is imperative that the Emaswati and the government they elected chart their own path and resist the temptation of being tossed backward and forward, spreading the budget too thinly, and doing too many things, resulting in achieving very little. We will work towards a society where every citizen, including persons with disabilities, women and children, as well as the elderly, feel safe and valued. We will improve the education curricula to reflect our African values and instill a winning mindset. The curricula of vocational institutions will be strengthened with business acumen. We will strengthen the healthcare system by finding a lasting solution to the current crisis and by strategically increasing the focus on preventive health. Government will give due attention to social services on which the poor and vulnerable depend. As part of the global community, Eswatini will continue to consider important global issues such as attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals, climate change initiatives, and disaster risk reduction. The Kingdom of Eswatini is forearmed and must not be caught off guard by any hazardous event, whether natural or man-made, such as the recent upheavals and COVID-19. This administration will fight corruption by ensuring that the public sector acts in the interest of the people, by being transparent and accountable, and by exposing all corrupt activities. The capacity of all government institutions that have a role in fighting and eradicating corruption will be significantly strengthened. We will promote the rule of law and strengthen the capacity of the police services to enforce the laws of our land. I would like to end my speech by pledging my commitment to serving His Majesty the King, Her Majesty the Queen Mother, and the entire people of Eswatini, and commit to ensuring a measurable improvement in the lives of Emaswati. I urge Cabinet to work together and to serve the nation with integrity as we build a strong, resilient nation and endeavor to attain the vision of Eswatini being the best place to live in and being the best place for investment.
The Deputy Prime Minister Thulisile Dladla says government is addressing all health challenges in the kingdom. Dladla was speaking when touring the new wing at the Mbabane Government Hospital alongside the Minister for Health, Mduduzi Matsebula.
Health challenges engulfing the Ministry of Health are some of the concerns that were raised by Emaswati during the People's Parliament. On Thursday, the Deputy Prime Minister Thulisile Dladla alongside the Minister of Health Mduduzi Matsebula visited the facility to ascertain the degree of the challenges and how Emaswati are being treated.
Sesivile shortage staff nako konke lo so njenjalo lo siya ecabinet fancy ku address konke la ngento lekelela minister uthi umathi address le tinto sisho sesiphuma khona sesibonile sesikhulumile nayo administration vele siyadidzinga ukuze sikhone ku responda kulama concerns eMaswati nema concerns etihlobo tethu lebasithile ukuthi sakhela sigcina namuhla sitawubuya sibuke indzaba yema drugs ukuthi le ndzaba lokunye lokuphuma kokuthi adliwe nguzibani abakwendela bafuna umsebenzi wabo lwabo bona usikudle bani phathini asithi make sure ukuthi akhona ama drugs athe Maswati afika la akhanze ukuthi ayithola le service konke lokho sitamlekelela minister sesibonile lapha ku pharmacy ukuthi vele kuyashoda lokunyenti nalama volume abantu lebedala vele ngeke ahlala ngashoti if supplies alama drugs etakancane.
The minister is pleading with the nation to bear with them while they are sorting out all the challenges that are facing the Ministry of Health.
Losla sesibonile singakala kuyoqashwa uhulumende sovela ulivulile lelo fastelo ngilokunye lesita ukwenda masinyane lokho ukuthi kuqale kusebenzeke eMaswati alibone lishintsho.
His Majesty King Mswati III alongside Emaswati during the People's Parliament beseeched government to ensure that they address all the challenges that are facing this country soonest. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Lincoln Kule with Vumingosi Nzinisa in Mbabane.
The Minister for ICT, Savannah Mazia, has urged all ICT-based companies in the kingdom to collaborate than competing against each other in order to improve service delivery. The minister was speaking during the 25th anniversary of MTN Eswatini, which was held at the Hilton Garden Inn in Mbabane.
Collaboration is very critical. When I look at MTN as a business, I know that sometimes government looks at business and says they cannot be trusted. I'd like for us to begin a journey of collaboration. I'd like for us to look at everybody in this room as a partner to our department who really wants to focus on serving the people of Eswatini. A few words come to me when I think about the service we need to be looking at. Reach. We've spoken about reach being at 90%, 95%, but real reach. Can children who go to school be able to access education? Can healthcare records be able to be accessed? Can information be at the hands of everyone? Can we give everybody a proper e-government?
The Chief Executive Officer of MTN Eswatini, Wandile Mjali, applauded His Majesty King Mswati III for bringing MTN to the Kingdom of Eswatini. He says the role that has been played by MTN in transforming the ICT sector is second to none. The minister says her mandate is to ensure that e-government is not a dream, but a reality, and is felt by all Emaswati. For Eswatini TV News, I'm Lincoln Gule, visual source from MTN.
The Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology Principal Secretary Pesha Dube says archives are a critical testament of our past experiences as a nation, especially in an era where the country is transitioning to knowledge-based economy. Archives are critical in embodying the intellectual capital that fuels an information economy. Dube said this during the Eswatini National Archives and Records Service Acquisition Policy Stakeholder Workshop at the Happy Valley.
The Ministry of Information, Communications and Technology Principal Secretary Pesha Dube says archives represent the threads that hold together the fabric of communities.
It is challenging to acquire valuable historical records that capture the holistic identity and the way of life of Emaswati. Thus, this acquisition policy will serve as a backbone for making acquisition decisions.
Some of the stakeholders that attended the workshop have this to say.
It is imperative that we do take part and add value in terms of making sure that those information assets that are normally generated in the context of our official operations, they are properly documented.
To do what we call a legal deposit, whereby we take what they have written and what we have published on their behalf to go and document and put it in their bank, so that in future, when that information is needed, even if the material is no longer in schools.
The Eswatini National Archives and Records Service Acquisition Policy will promote national identity, protect personal and public rights of Emaswati, among other things. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Uthemba Shabangwe Ezulwini.
Members of the House of Assembly and senators were capacitated on how Parliament operates as stipulated in the Constitution. The Clerk to Parliament, Benedict Gaba, says some of the topics that are covered include Parliament practice, legislation process and committee system. Gaba was speaking during the legislators' induction workshop in Ezulwini.
The newly appointed senators and members of Parliament attended a workshop that was focusing on how Parliament operates. The Clerk to Parliament, Benedict Gaba, says certain clauses of the Constitution was explained to both senators and MPs.
Kusho ukuthi nyalo siqale ema-standing orders tindlu tembili njengalo wati ukuthi mawukhuluma ngeParliament kufuneka uyadi inqubo ukuthi iParliament is.
We have started with introduction of standing orders in both houses, as we all know that when you talk of Parliament, you need to be clear on how Parliament works. We have a fair number of new MPs, and even for those who are not new to Parliament, we have added new standing orders which everyone is required to be familiar with. Earlier on, both houses were under one room as they were being empowered on wellness programs.
Gaba says MPs and senators will be part of an induction week-long workshop, which is expected to be hosted next week. For Eswatini TV News, Sondomlangeni, Fortune Dlangamandla, Ezulwini.
As information, communication and technology is one of the important sectors which contribute to the economic development of the country, it is imperative to make it more accessible to the public. This was said by Mvilawempi Dlamini, the Chief Executive Officer of Eswatini Communications Commission, during the launch of a survey report known as a baseline of household and individual ICT access and in use in Eswatini. The report was launched at Emafini during a meeting with relevant stakeholders.
Reporting lokuthi iyakhona kusitala ivethi lakhe ama programs ekubuka ukuthi ikhebe setingala kufuna sivale ngala sende nje ama policies latawukhona ku addressa lawo ma gaps latholakele nasenda loqwanelo le report ke nawe ikwabula vele iyadichaza yona nje ukuthi kuthi nekuthi kwangaka besilisa labakhona kulabane access ku internet bangaka laba besifazane kumbe laba nema TV ekhaya bangaka ngicabanga nje ngathi ngiloko kakhulu lokukhona sive singa banantolo qina ukuthi la ma statistics la kule report ivele angawo ngilevel esiwashare nemhlaba wonke.
The director of the Central Statistics Office under the Ministry of Economic Planning and Development, Thembinkosi Shabalala, says the report will enable government to craft intervention programs to mitigate some of the gaps unearthed by the survey.
Domsebenzi umqoka kakhulu tibalo lesithuthako sisetshenziswa nguhulumende ukuthi ende tinhlelo takhe kulungisa lapho kushoda khona. Njengoba uvile siyacala kuyenda le survey lena lokusicala kufanele ukuthi siyende kahle ekucaleni.
One of the survey's indicators reveals that about 85% of the country's population access the internet at home, whilst only 2% access it from another person's home. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Bongwa Dube, Emafini.
Dear viewers, now take a short commercial break. We'll be right back.
What's that? Bring on even more big savings this SPAR Black Friday sale. Reward yourself with more prices you can't miss on even more products you love. Like 6-pack SPAR Long Life Milk for just $84.99 and 1 liter Lippy Fruit. Buy any two for only 40 emalangeni. It's the SPAR Black Friday sale from 23 to 26 November. Only at SPAR.
We at Eswatini Television Authority are committed to observing the Eswatini Communication Commission's Broadcasting Code of Conduct.
Under the code, we are committed to broadcast news that is current, free from hate speech, accurate, balanced, and fair.
From politics to business, health, agriculture, courts, and global news, we bring you the latest updates as they happen, when they happen.
We cover all the sporting codes from the football pitch to the chessboards.
This is Eswatini TV News.
Welcome back. You're still watching Eswatini TV. The Eswatini TV Chief Executive Officer Mlamuli Dlamini says the television station will continue to expose elements of gender-based violence in the society as means to contribute to the safety and peacefulness of all Emaswati. Dlamini said this during a courtesy call to the TV station by 1 Billion Rising Solidarity to launch its 2023 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence campaign, which runs from November 25th to the 10th of December.
The theme for this year's campaign is Rise for Freedom, Create the New Culture. The Eswatini TV CEO Mlamuli Dlamini says gender-based violence should be eradicated in all sectors of society, including at the workplace.
Ngumlayeto lona lekufuna uviwe ngilo lonke liswati lomdvuna nalomsikati ngoba umlayeto lomqoka ikakhulu kuletikhathi lesesiphila kuto kuletindzaba lesesitiva nje ukuthi kwentekalani kuma communities lesiphila kuwo kwentekalani emakhaya yindzaba lemcwa kakhulu yinkulumo iconversation lemcwa kakhulu lekufuna vele sihlale siba nayo njalo njalo.
The coordinator of 1 Billion Rising Solidarity, Xolani Hlatshwago, says people should stop the habit of dehumanizing those whom they assist in any way.
It's how men tend to think they have power and control over women. Sifuna nje kutsata la madoda lala kaSwazi TV, Eswatini TV. Kuthi akhutsate nalamanye. Kuthi akunandoda lecabanga ukuthi yona seyinemandla seyicontroller whether ngileli shendelayo noma ngile girlfriend yayo noma ngilomfati wayo noma nje ngikuphi lobudlelwane lenisuka noma umthengela staradini lalabanye labatsengako.
Recent media reports point to the rise of gender-based violence, which led to the loss of life, especially of women and children in the recent past. Reporting for Eswatini TV News, I'm Mbongwa Dube in Babane.
Eswatini Network Campaign for Education for All and the Eswatini Schools Committee and Parents Association say the future of learners implicated in Form 5 papers leak should not be destroyed by the punishment that will be taken despite the crime accused of doing.
Campaign for Education for All Swansefa and Eswatini Schools Committee and Parents Association Escapa say the law should be followed when punishing learners implicated in the leak of 7 components of 4 Form 5 subjects that were circulated on social media before they were written.
Therefore, whatever happens, we believe the best interest of the child should be put first. Whatever punishment that will be meted against the learners who are implicated must look at the best interest of them. We shouldn't mete out any punishment that is going to compromise their future.
Human rights because this one is a basic human right education abafunze but the punishment yabo bangabona abantu abadala ukuthi i-apply nini not now.
On Tuesday, the Ex-Nations Council of Eswatini Registrar Dr. Mandlenkosi Dlamini mentioned that teachers, learners, as well as administrators of a certain school are implicated in the matter. He said, despite that the matter is being handled by the Royal Eswatini Police Services, the Ex-Nations Council of Eswatini will also punish the culprits. For Eswatini TV News, Fortune Dlangamandla, Kwimpendulo Kumbi Ezulwini.
In our international news, Israel says no hostages will be released before Friday. This is despite an agreement for a 4-day truce between them and Hamas.
Daily security advisor has said the release of hostages under a temporary truce between their country and Hamas will not happen before Friday. This has come as sad news to relatives of hostages as they were hopeful that they would be released on Thursday. As civilians and the world await the truce to kick in, the war continues as Israel strikes Gaza. In other news coming from Gaza, the Indonesian hospital has been evacuated following an instruction from Israel. In news from China, the World Health Organization has asked China for more data on the respiratory illness spreading in the north of the country. The World Health Organization has urged people to take steps to reduce the risks of infection. This respiratory illness is said to be influenza-like and has been reported since mid-October. The formal request has been made on Wednesday. While China is dealing with this respiratory illness, Somalia and the Eastern African region are dealing with severe flooding. This has been said to have intensified an already dire humanitarian situation, leaving millions of people in need of assistance. For Eswatini TV News, Temgosi Mavimbela. Pictures were sourced from DW, VOA and France 24.
Dear viewers, now take a look at our financial updates.
It can be.
In our sports news tonight, Eswatini Dlamini, who is the Hoho Regional Football Association spokesperson, says the finals of the Hoho Regional Ingonyama Cup games will be played this Sunday at Kilani Stadium in Pikspik from 2 p.m. Between Kapakapa and Young Lovers. It will cost Emaswati only 20 emalangeni to watch the game.
Happy as an office that as we speak, out of the 24 teams that we had,
As you know, that the composition of our Super League is made of 12 teams from the southern and 12 teams from the northern. We are proud to say that we are now left with 2 teams. That is Kappa Kappa from the northern side and Young Lovers from the southern part. So this coming Sunday, the 26th of November at Kilana Sports Ground in Pigs Peak, that is where we host our finals for the regional Ingonyama Cup. Entrance fee to our fans is going to be 20 Emalangen, and gates will open at 12 noon. Logistics in relation to this tournament, we appeal and actually request to soccer lovers, in particular in the region, to please be at their best behavior, especially because we need to create a very important, a very good image for the association.
The national rugby team Sizeze are unchanged in the world rankings, where they remain 104 out of 112 nations in the world. The latest rankings see Springbok regain top position after winning the 2023 Rugby World Cup in France.
Following the completion of the 2023 Rugby World Cup held in France last month, World Rugby Board latest ranking revealed that Sizeze remain unchanged in world rankings, where they are positioned 104 out of 112 nations in the world. Sizeze were previously 102nd when last rankings were released in August this year. Eswatini Rugby Union commented, mentioning that they are looking to take part of different international games in order to boost their rankings next year. Other rankings saw world champions Springboks retaining their first position worldwide. Neighboring countries like Zimbabwe are ranked 31st, while Zambia have moved up a position where they are now ranked 68th in the world. Ireland are now second, followed by New Zealand, who are third in the world, while World Cup host France are ranked 4th. For Eswatini TV Sports, Fabrice Msonera, Mbabane.
That is all we had for tonight, but before we wrap up, we'll take a quick recap of today's headlines. The Prime Minister Russell Dlamini says government has formulated and will immediately implement a short to medium-term plan. The Deputy Prime Minister Tosile Dladla says government is addressing all health challenges in the kingdom. The Minister for ICT, Savannah Mazia, has urged all ICT-based companies in the kingdom to collaborate than competing against each other in order to improve service delivery. That brings us to the end of our news bulletin. Tonight, up next is the weather forecast for selected towns. And don't forget to stay tuned for Sives Yathutuka after the weather forecast. Good night, Eswatini.